There's more than one way to be Black, and that's why we want you to feel seen. Redefine Black, it's all about making it your own. So that's why Redefine Black presents Talk Black to Me, the podcast. Tune in. Welcome to the very first episode. I'm so excited. I hope you all are too. So let's get started.
We have Stefanie Philpott as our first guest, my friend, my confidant, filmmaker, great woman all around. We're so excited to have you, especially being our first guest. So let's just get into a little bit about yourself. You can just introduce yourself, where you're from, and just give us a little background.
Yeah. I'm Stefanie Philpott. I am Cleveland born and raised, Cleveland, Ohio. I've lived a couple different places, New York. Right now, I reside in Chicago. I am a filmmaker, so I write, produce, direct, anything that I can't pay for, I do it. So yeah, that's me.
Well, thank you. So we're here to talk about, being Black in our day and age and for people to have someone to look up to. So again, you're a filmmaker. You write, you direct, you basically do it all. If you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration on becoming a writer and filmmaker?
Whenever someone asks me this, I'm always like, I don't know, I can't think about that far. But I was on a panel a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, maybe this was it. So it could be this, but after this, it could be something else earlier. But when I was younger, I would write on like the B2K and Bow Wow fan fiction pages. And and I remember that randomly, like it was almost a month ago at this point, but I remembered it randomly. I'm like, man, maybe that's when it started. But for me, it's an escape, or I get to, if things don't work out how I want it to, I can make anything happen when I'm writing it. So those are just a couple of the things, like where it started and what made me do that, like what made me start doing this.
So I know you said that like maybe you think inspired your writing, but did it inspire in a way where you knew you wanted to write for television or to create shorts, films, web series, or was it just like I wanted to be a writer?
So just thinking when I was a kid, I just liked writing. I wrote like poetry, I wrote just different things. I don't think that it was I wanted to write TV. I do remember like wanting to be able to be whoever I didn't know at this time, but watching 106 in Park, I'm like, I want to do those videos like Chris Robinson and like Little X. I want to do that. I want to take it and be like, okay, this will happen next. Like I didn't realize that I could be a writer behind things that were on TV. It just I didn't think about it as a kid. I didn't think about how it all came together. And at one point, I know a few years ago, I was just like, I want to write.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when I graduated undergrad that I wanted to write for TV, but I was just scared. It wasn't stable. It was, that's just not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to undergrad, then you get a job and go to grad school, then you have a family, then you like, these are all the things that you're supposed to do. And I was on that track to do those things. And then I realized that corporate really isn't stable either. So why not try something that I actually want to do? And so yes. I started writing. That led me to start writing, and that was less than 5 years ago. So it's wild.
Yeah, I know. Like we've been taught, like at a young age, it's only like one trajectory to become successful, and especially like when you're on the creative side, like how do we get there? Do you think not seeing women or any Black person growing up younger specifically that you could like nail kind of played a role into like maybe not following that desire or passion earlier?
100%. I feel like because it's hard being the first of people um, because you have to go like through the trial and error. But I definitely think that if I had someone that I was looking to that did this or something similar, that I would be like, okay, yeah, I can do it. Or I can go to them and talk to them like, how is this thing possible? Because depending on how you grew up and all of that, a lot of things seem out of reach. And yeah, you have people who are like, well, I did it anyway. Okay, well, there are people that aren't like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for them to be able to see it and then be like, okay, I can do that. That's something I can do. So I think it definitely had an effect on me waiting longer to do
Mm-hmm.
it. And if I would have seen it sooner, then I think that I would have done it a little sooner.
Mm-hmm. So knowing that your genre is Black, like encompassing of Black people, you're like, yes, I want to show my people in different ways on TV. Why do you think that's so important, and why have you decided to go that route?
Because when I was growing up just watching TV, like when I was a kid, I watched cartoons. Kids watch cartoons. But
Mm-hmm.
then watching like I was watching Disney Channel, I was watching like Nickelodeon, like yeah, you see some Black people on there, but I ran to the Black shows and I also watched the other shows. Well, I shouldn't say Black shows. I ran to the shows with Black people
Black
because
characters.
there weren't that many of there weren't that many of them. And so it was good to see like, oh, like somebody looks like me is on TV. But I think for me it's really important to do that because even now, like it's still being pressed. A lot of shows, a lot of good shows with Black cast or majority Black cast, they don't get greenlit, or even if it's indie shows or films, like you have to figure out where you need to go, where you can get that spotlight. And a lot of times it's because people think it won't sell or it won't go where they need to go. Because at the end of the day, it's about the money
Yeah.
a lot of times. So, but it's still important to me, regardless. It's important to me because I want to see. I'm writing what I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't go in thinking what do other people want to see. Um, Sometimes I think about it, but overall, it's what do I want to see? What is not out there that I think needs to be out there?
Mm. So, you said you really began your journey about 5 years ago. So, when you began that journey, can you
Mhm.
just talk about like the genre you decided to go in and why you started there?
Yeah, so I am a lover girl. I love specifically Black love. Yes, I'm like, yeah, why not write a short? First of all, because I wanted something that was short because I didn't know what I was doing. And I chose romance because there I have I have so many emotions in me. And a lot of it is related to like love. It doesn't have to specifically be like someone I'm dating. It could be love and friendship, um love in like familiar relationships. But for me, I went the route of the man and the woman because a lot of people can relate to love like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I went that route. But I definitely wanted to tap into that for myself,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I realized that I was actually going to be able to produce it. And I was like, oh, so this just won't sit in my notebook or on my computer. I get to show people what's going on in my head.
Great, thank you. And since starting that journey and doing your first short, what else have you done? Like, let our audience know what you
Yeah.
worked on ever since, and like what's even in the pipeline.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, it doesn't feel like it won't be 5 years until when did I start? I say I technically started when I quit my job for the 2 months. So I'll say December of this year will be 5 years. So it's just made 4 years. But since my short, I've written for TV twice. for Tough Love LA and Tough Love Atlanta, which were both on Clio TV. Tough Love LA was on TV1. So that was huge. It just happened. And when for Tough Love Los Angeles, which was first, when I was submitting for it, I thought it was just going to be on YouTube. It was for me, I was like, oh, this is a really good show that you had told me about, actually. And I was like, oh, I love the show. I would love to write. Like, I just want to write. I tell people, like, I just want to write. And it turned out that the show ended up being on network television. So that, I will say, side note, that's the thing, like, a lot of people, especially coming up, think about just the opportunities and the things that you could have. Because what if I was like, no, it's just going to be on YouTube? I would have missed out on this huge opportunity.
Right.
Aside from that, I've also worked on different projects of different people, like being producers and EPs, just helping out when someone needs something. For myself, so I did Sweet Nothings, which was my short film in 2020. We shot and released it that year, right before the pandemic. And then in 2022, so just last year, I released Shout Out to My Therapist, which was my first web series.
Very good too.
Thank you. It's about a Black woman who quits her job and she is like, what is happening? And so it takes you through her steps of finding therapy and seeing what works for her. And she also looks at the relationships around her, and it makes her look at them differently. You'll have to see if it's positive or negative for those watching, but out. And then right now, we're actually in the writer's room. We just started the writer's room a couple of weeks ago for season 2. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about that. We have a good group of people, group of writers that will definitely, they're bringing the heat this season, challenging my mind as well. I love all the ideas that we're able to come up with. So really excited about that. And I plan to shoot that and hopefully release it next year. So yeah.
You have a lot going on.
Yeah, always.
It's like a short period of time, but you have done a lot. And I think it's important for people to, like, once you find that, just to keep going. Because now you can look back and like, wow, I did all that. But in the moment, I'm sure you're like, I haven't really did anything, or we just get timid and small. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I agree. Every time I don't give myself time to like look up and say, oh, I like it's a lot of stuff that I've done. It's more so like, okay, go to the next, go to the next. So I'm being better about that this within the last few months of like looking up. I need to look up to see these things because it doesn't matter if I don't see them. It's nice when others see them, but like, what about me? I'm the one doing the work. So I need to be better about that for sure.
Yeah. So the show wouldn't be right called Talk Black to Me if we didn't get into a little nitty gritty. So I know for both of your short and your web series, you wanted an all Black crew. Like get into like finding that and making that happen.
Yeah. So I don't really remember why. Not that I need a why, but I don't even think there was a why. I was just like, oh, I want all Black people. Like, why not? This is for my short, and I was looking for people, and I was like, okay, this is good. And I forget which role we were looking for. Not role, crew member that we were looking for. But I was like, oh man, I'm probably not gonna find a Black person for this, because I was also like, it needs to be, yeah, I want them Black, but I also want them to be someone who will be right for the project.
Right.
And then at the very last minute, I found I can't remember who I was looking for. Time goes by so fast, but clearly we found them. Every single crew member was Black, and also the same thing for my same thing for Shout Out to My Therapist for season 1. It just happened that way because my network was built that way afterwards, because I didn't have a network at all for the short film. So I was really going through like Black Film Space, who has been very helpful to me with really anything that I need, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know anything. So they were really helpful with that. And then I just started meeting people and meeting people through this person. And then it was just like a change. So it really worked out for the short. And then I went back to some of my network. But most of the people that I worked with on the web series, they were different. Like maybe two, I think I worked with two of the same people. But other than that, they were all different.
Working across.
Yeah, yeah. And it was just because a lot of the people that I work with for the short, like within that short amount of time, like they're working on like network sets and all this other stuff. And I'm like, man, that's so good. Like they're like, I still want to work with you, but I can't, like I'm blacked off that time. So it was a good reason why they couldn't come back, which I was really happy for them for that.
I know that you will get bigger. You know, this is only the beginning. You climb that mountain, girl. But as you continue, I know it gets harder to keep an all black like cast and crew. Well, not necessarily cast, because depending on what you're talking about, but like especially like pre-production, post-production, as you're climbing and moving further along, are you going to try to do that as much as possible? Because I know in entertainment, we'll be like, oh yeah, this person black, but then behind the scenes, like, where are the black people with you?
Yeah.
So
yeah. For me, I would like to, I do want to work with crew members, those in the industry that are not Black. However, I want to make sure that I'm going to strive for, I should say, that at least half of my crew is.
nice.
Because it's just important to me that, especially because I'm telling stories that involve Black people, I want Black people to be on set and not just the crew. So that will definitely be important to me. I do want to branch out to working with those that are non-Black. However, yeah, it just, it's important to me to employ as much as I can
Right.
Black people, especially because from what I should say, from what I hear from those who are actually on sets and network, like they really don't see themselves. So I want to give them a chance to see themselves. And I remember the sound operator on set for the short that I did. He was like, "Man, I had never seen this many Black people on set before." And he's worked on a lot of stuff. He's been in sound for a long time. And so that always stuck with me. And I was like, okay, yeah, like this was the decision I needed to make happen.
Yeah. So yeah, representation definitely matters. I feel like, yeah, you're redefining Black in that way, because now a little boy, a little girl, a little Black person can look up to you and be like, oh, even if I don't want to be a writer, this part of the crew I can do. Like, it's actually feasible and tangible. A little fumble there, but yeah. Since we're talking about representation, you like really strive. What is like some advice you would give someone that can look up to you and be like, you're Black like me?
Mm-hmm. I would be like, I would say what I would say to myself years ago, like, just do it. Because the things that you are scared of, there's someone else scared of the same things, but they're doing it. Especially when, because no, I don't know everyone's situation and it just depends. And I also think, no, I don't think, I know that this happened when it was supposed to. I wasn't supposed to do it years ago. And I see that daily why. But I would tell that little person, I should say, I would tell them that just do it. Like, find ways to, especially now with the internet, like a lot of things I still don't know, but I am always actively learning. I still attend webinars. I still go to workshops. I'm still Googling, like, okay, what is this? I'm watching YouTube videos. Like, okay, I need this explained to me. Maybe I can watch a couple of videos. Maybe I can like go to a class, especially because a lot of times classes are expensive to go to, like if you want to drop in a class. So would definitely say just do it. There are cost effective ways to find out how to do it, because I know that's the biggest thing with money. With this industry is, how do I do it and I don't have the money? Because it can be very expensive. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Even if you're indie and people are like, oh, well, you could shoot this for $100. How? And even if you like do with your phone, that's, yes, we do that, but you want to at least buy people pizza who are coming to help you, or there may be things that you don't have that you need, like something, there's things like people have told me on Amazon that you can hook it up to your phone for a mic, but you still have to buy these things. And people say, oh, you can just do it for free. You need something, even if it's $100 a lot of times to be able to do that. So I would say just start learning all you can and going on sets of other filmmakers, because there are a lot of indie filmmakers that are looking for people, but they can't pay. Y'all understand that. I'm on people's sets. Well, I was when I was in New York 6 months ago, like, and then before that, I was on sets all the time. And it was just like, hey, can you help? Sure can. Like, I would take off work because I still work my 9 to 5. I am team 9 to 5 because that is how I funded both of my projects. But I will take off my 9 to 5 and I will be on set. And a lot of times that's when I learn different things. I'm able to see different, like, what do the contracts look like that people are sending out? What how much do people pay particular crew members? Like, what does that look like? Because with my short, I didn't even know what to pay. I didn't know what was kind of acceptable. I didn't know, because I was working off of like, I don't even have a budget, because I don't know how to make a budget because I've never done this before. So yeah, to the little person, I would say just do it and start off by finding cost effective ways to find out like what part of filmmaking you want to do.
Well, thank you again so much for this interview. I feel like you dropped some knowledge. You're going to inspire some people. They're like, yes, Stefanie Philpott did it, so I'm about to do it. But before we end, can you give like where you want people to find you, find out about new projects, follow you?
So I always post whatever is going on, whether there's like a new project or casting calls, all of that, to my Instagram. It's at Vision Board Living, just how it sounds, like the vision boards everyone does every year. I am Vision Board Living. So it's at Vision Board Living on Instagram. That's where I am mostly. I'm really not on other socials. I've tried it, it doesn't work. But I will definitely be looking towards the end of the year for cast and crew, especially if you're in Chicago, hit me up. I'm starting to build my network here, slowly but surely. And yeah, so that's me. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, before we leave, I'm going to ask every guest this.
Black is me.
There we go. I like that. But all right, thank you so much. This was a great, fun interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Be sure to check out Stefanie's latest project on YouTube called Shout Out to My Therapist. Tune in next week for an all-new episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast or on YouTube.